Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a term that you probably hear all the time: business analytics. We're going to break down how companies take these huge mountains of data and turn them into actual game-changing decisions. Think about it. Every single day, businesses are staring down massive decisions. Should we launch this new product? Are we expanding into that market? I mean, the right call can lead to incredible success, but the wrong one, it can be a total disaster. So how do they figure out the right answers? It's definitely not just guesswork.
The answer really is a framework. It's a way of making smarter decisions that are actually based on evidence. And that's the whole point of business analytics, to get past those gut feelings and use data to find real, actionable insights.
Okay, let's really get into it. To truly get a grip on what business analytics is, we're going to think of it as a journey. It's a step-by-step path that takes you from just a pile of raw data to a clear plan of action. So at its core, business analytics is all about using data, some statistical analysis, and these things called models in a really strategic way. The whole goal is to help leaders get a much deeper understanding of their business so they can make decisions that are truly informed. Our journey, as you might expect, starts by looking backward. The very first, most fundamental step is what we call descriptive analytics, and it's all about getting a crystal clear picture of what's already happened.
You know, the best analogy for this is just looking in your car's rearview mirror. It doesn't tell you where you're going, right? But it gives you a perfect clear view of the road you've already been on.
So what does it actually do? Well, descriptive analytics basically combs through all that past data to pull out what's important. It helps us spot trends, see patterns, and keep an eye on those all-important key performance indicators, KPIs.
Let's use a real-world example to make this stick. Say a department store wants to figure out the best markdown for its seasonal clothes. They'd start right here, digging into historical data. For similar items in the past, what were the prices? How many did we sell? How much did we spend on ads? They're just building a solid foundation of facts. Okay, so looking in that rearview mirror is absolutely essential, but you can't really drive a car forward by only looking back, can you? And that leads us to the next, super important question. What's going to happen next? And that brings us perfectly to the second step on our journey, predictive analytics. Now we're shifting our focus from the past to start forecasting what the future might look like. So if descriptive was the rearview mirror, predictive analytics is all about looking through the windshield at the road stretching out in front of you. We're using what we know about where we've been to guess what's coming up around the next curve. So how does that even work? Well, it analyzes all that historical data to find patterns and relationships. The goal is to build a model that can then predict future outcomes. It's all about making that leap from what happened to what will probably happen. So let's go back to our retail example. The store can now use all that historical data to actually predict sales based on the price. Their model might tell them, for instance, what their sales volume is likely to be if they discount an item by, say, 30%. Predicting what could happen is pretty powerful, for sure. But what if you've got like a dozen possible options? Different discounts, different ad spends. How in the world do you choose the single best path to take? And this, my friends, is the final and most advanced step of our journey, prescriptive analytics. This is where we stop just predicting the future and start actively trying to shape it. The best way to think about this is like your car's GPS. A regular map, it shows you all the possible roads, sure, but a GPS, it analyzes the traffic, the construction, everything to recommend the single best route to get you where you're going. So the crucial thing here is that prescriptive analytics doesn't just show you what could happen, it tells you what you should do to hit a specific target, like maximizing your profit or cutting down on costs. And for our department store, this is the ultimate payoff. The prescriptive model can run through millions of different combinations and tell them straight up, to make the most money, set the price at $49.99 and put $5,000 into online ads. It gives them a clear, optimized, and ready-to-go strategy. So we've made the whole journey, from understanding the past to predicting the future, and finally to making the best decision. But what's the engine that's been powering this whole process? Well, it really boils down to two key things: data and models. First off, not all data is created equal. You need data that's both reliable and valid. So reliability is just about consistency. Think of a tire gauge that's always 5 psi low. It's reliable, it's just reliably wrong. Validity, on the other hand, is about measuring the right thing. You could count customer service calls, and that's reliable, but it's not a valid way to measure customer unhappiness because lots of calls are just simple questions. You've got to have both.
The second tool is something called a model, which is really just a simplified version of reality. And it often starts out as just a simple idea, a verbal description. Like for a new product, we might say, well, sales will probably start slow, then they'll pick up speed, and then they'll level off as the market gets saturated. Then that verbal idea can be turned into a visual model. And all of a sudden, our abstract idea about sales growth becomes this concrete S-shaped curve. Seeing the pattern like this makes the whole concept instantly easier to understand and share with your team. And from there, finally, the visual gets turned into a precise mathematical model. Now, this is where the real magic happens. A formula like this gives a computer the ability to run thousands of simulations, make super accurate predictions, and find those perfect, prescriptive solutions we were talking about. So in the end, business analytics isn't just about a bunch of fancy charts or piles of data. It's really a structured journey, from looking in the rearview mirror to having a GPS guide your every move. It's about turning data into insight and turning that insight into action. So the only real question left is, what decision in your world could you make a little smarter today?